So, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for participating in National Coalition for Sexual Freedom, our celebration of Black History Month. And for February 2022, we are going to be highlighting those individuals who are contemporary, present day, trailblazers, innovators, leaders, and those who are changing the landscape of sexual liberation within the Black community. And so I cannot celebrate it fully without recognizing Dr. James Wadley. Everybody who knows me knows I'm a fan of Dr. Wadley. I still call him Dr. Wadley. People call him James. I'm trying to get with that. But he is the reason that I am in the position that I am in today for many, many, many reasons. And so I feel that this month needs to focus on some of the most amazing accomplishments that he has made in the field of sexuality. So, but before we get to that, I'll let him introduce himself. So, Dr. Wadley, please do.
Yeah, I am Dr. James Wadley. I am chair of the Counseling and Human Services program at Lincoln University, and I am director for the sex therapy program at Council for Relationships, also in Philadelphia. I am editor-in-chief and founder of the Journal of Black Sexuality and Relationships. I'm also the founder of the Association of Black Sexologists.
Yes.
And that's, in a nutshell, that's me.
And so much more.
Yeah, I'm over here rubbing on my legs, trying to ease my anxiety. Yeah.
A very humble man at that. He's a very humble man. And so I know for me, there's many reasons that I feel so strongly that you exemplify someone who is breaking down walls. I was interviewing Dr. Lex James earlier today. She says some people tear down doors. She says she busts open gates.
Yeah.
And when she said that, I was thinking about, shoot, I said, well, Dr. Wadley don't just build tables, he build infrastructures. So I'm thinking about all that you have done, and the Association of Black Sexologists and Clinicians, just that entity itself and all that has sprung from it. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so you and I, we had a previous conversation about a village raising a child. And I do believe that I am a part of many different villages who I'm active in. And so one village that I was a part of was the American Association of Blacks in Higher Ed. And in that village, I learned how to do conference planning. And somewhere in there for the Association of Black Sexologists and Clinicians, it's like, we need to meet. We need to get folks together, those who are of African descent, and come together to talk about sex. And so maybe about 7 years ago, about 7, 8 years ago now, it emerged, and our first conference was in Philadelphia. And we moved from Philadelphia to Fort Lauderdale to Chicago, and 7 iterations of our conference in St. Thomas every year during Carnival Week. And then we also have had events in different parts of the world, from Cape Town, South Africa, to Prague, to Havana, Cuba. And then we were just in San Pedro. And this fall, we'll probably be either in Santa Marta, Colombia, or we'll be in Iztapa, Zihuatanejo, Mexico. So we move around according to our imagination. Clearly, sometimes I fly by the seat of my pants and just try to do stuff. But one of the things that I've learned in the field is that just as there's a continuum of sexuality, there too can be a continuum as well as an array of settings that sexuality educators can come together to celebrate the profession and celebrate themselves. And so I'm proud to be a part of several different villages in order to pull it off.
Yes, and the experience of going to those events, because I was just, as you were listening, I was like, oh, I've been to a lot of these. Dang, yeah. Is that sense of family,
Yeah.
and that sense of joy that we can learn yet have fun. We can learn yet cry. We can learn yet, I was watching my sister, this educator with her husband and her two babies, at the event. And it's like, you can't do that at all conferences.
Yeah, I tell you what, for that conference, and we had another conference in St. Thomas. It was one of them years they had me crying on the damn beach. And, but it's, the crying is cathartic. The catharsis is healing when you can be around folks who may have a similar journey as you, who can allow themselves to be celebrated and to celebrate you. And so when we all come together, it really does feel like family, and it does feel like we can all get to whatever goals we may have for our personal selves as well as our professional selves.
Right. So speaking of professional selves, you're not only a person who creates spaces, you also edit books. Yeah. And one of the books that you created is on leadership, which has actually turned into course curriculum for some sexuality programs. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I guess over my time in the field, I've just always wanted to have something different and do something different in terms of what I put out there or publish. And while our field is devoted to sexual and relational health and wellness and everything that comes with that, I don't know, I just always wanted to do something that was kind of something a little bit different, but kind of business oriented, if you will. So I reflected on my own journey, kind of what we were talking about. And, I didn't have Black and brown mentors, and, I didn't have Black and brown supervisors. And, I kind of went out in the field like this, kind of feeling around 15, 20 years ago, like, all right, well, what am I supposed to do? So after several head bumps along the way, and probably several $1,000s of throwing money away on an office that no one ever came to see me, I figured I'd try to put together some sort of narrative that allows people to have a different journey in the profession than I did. And that different journey is, how do you start off as an entry-level clinician, educator, or researcher, and then evolve into the senior level person who may lead an organization. So I sent out a call for manuscripts, and we had so many people, I had so many people kind of chime in who wanted to share their expertise. And for me, I am a proponent of communities putting these books together versus just writing about it. I love having diversity of perspective. So the Handbook of Sexuality Leadership came out, I guess this time last year. And what's been special, maybe even a blessing, is that, there have been a couple of academic as well as institutional programs that have picked up the book and, now have it for, if not required reading, but recommended reading for their students and their constituents to adopt.
Amazing. That is absolutely amazing. There's also another book that you recently was co-editor with, and tell us about that one.
And as a matter of fact, I just got my books yesterday in the mail, and the book is right here, right next to me.
An intersectional approach to sex therapy, centering the lives of Black, Indigenous, racialized, and people of color. Amazing.
So this is another village where Reese Malone and Marla Renee Stewart and Marietta Gary Smith and I put together this, well, actually it was Reese's idea to put together a book on an intersectional approach to sex therapy. And kind of in the same vein, we wanted to have a community of folks to come together to offer plurality of perspectives about how Black, Brown, Indigenous, other people of color contribute clinical ideologies as well as interventions towards working in a variety of settings with a variety of communities. And so this came out, I don't know, maybe, well, hell, I just got it, 2 days ago. And what's nice about it, again, is that you have all these folks writing about these different perspectives. In my particular chapter, I actually wrote about being a Black man in the field. And it's the title of the chapter is Black Like Me, and it's about perspectives from an African-American male in the field of sexology or sex therapy, where I talk about, some of the spaces that I've been privileged to kind of be a part of, but then also some of the challenges that may exist in doing diversity, equity, and inclusion work with Black and Brown folks, diversity, equity, inclusion work with white folks, and then how does that come together? So for a lot of folks in our field, they may not have had a supervisor of color or a Black man help them process their cases. And for some folks in our field, they may not have had an opportunity to talk about how these systemic macro social justice issues then filter down into their clients' wellness as well as their clients' functioning. And so in the chapter that I wrote, I talked about, my journey in having those kinds of conversations with supervision groups that are Black and Brown folks, supervision groups that are predominantly white groups, and how that all comes together for people to become better sex therapists in the field.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much. And so for you, what is your next, no, let me not say that. What inspires you to do the work that you do?
What inspires me? Boy, the only answer I can come up with, I don't know if it's not the sexiest response. I get bored. I do. I get bored. Whether it's, I just get bored and I just sit here and we do a screen share?
Yes. Let me share with me. Okay, it's ready.
Yeah, I have 2 images I want to share with you. Well, with folks out there. Hold on 1 second. Come on. And I probably should have had this queued up, but I don't. Hold on. Okay, here's the first one. Boom. So when we venture to, when we venture to different spaces, it gives me a chance to reflect and just think about what's next. The first space was when we went to San Pedro. I got on a paddle board and I went out about a quarter of the mile out in the ocean. And then I started freaking out because I was a quarter mile out in the ocean on a damn paddle board. I could see the fish swimming around underneath my paddle board. And while the depth of where I was at was only 3 feet, I started freaking out and I turned around. Well, on the way out to where I stopped at, I was thinking about what's next. But what I like about being in spaces like this is because, again, there are no ceilings and there are no walls. And so as I think about my own growth in the profession and what could be next, and I take down some of the ceilings and walls and bureaucracy and red tape and possibly other people's fears and anxieties about what I should do, once that's gone, now it's whatever. So this is one of the first inspirations. So then the second inspiration is, again, when I'm in these spaces, it gives me the latitude to kind of chill out, right?
Those
So,
feet.
yeah, this is in St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands. So we're down in St. Thomas every single year. And when I'm sitting out there talking about life, love, and happiness, talking trash, talking shit, telling lies, now again, it's open spaces. Not only that, but I'm usually sitting next to people who attend our conference. And in this kind of naturalistic, naturistic, beach, free association, trash, lies, secrets, whatever, it's whatever. So each year when I go, I'm always thinking about like, all right, well, what can I do next year? And what can I do the following year? So one of the years we went out to St. Thomas, I don't know, I had talked to somebody and it was probably like two people who were talking about possibly doing a documentary. And I was like, oh shit, I never did a documentary before. Wouldn't that be cool if I tried to do one? So I left out of St. Thomas like, I'm gonna do a damn documentary. So then I flew around and I did a documentary. Now that wasn't necessarily in my professional bucket list, but because I had the space and the resources in the villages around me to pull it off, like I'm gonna do a documentary. So the documentary that came out about 4 years ago was on drugs, race, and sex in Trenton, New Jersey, and it looked at how people negotiate sobriety as well as recreational drug use with sexual expression. And so what's coming up next? Like I said, I just finished my master's degree in business administration from Keystone College, and so that's off the table. And then our book just came out. I just got it the other day. So what's next for me over the next year? Well, we'll see. I got a couple of meetings scheduled over the next week. I hopefully will have a different kind of time at my university to do additional items, but yeah, it feels like I'm still in my cocoon and I haven't come out as a black butterfly just yet. So yeah, and then I didn't even talk about the damn book series that I have. I have a book series. I have a contract with Routledge, and it's the book series around leading conversations about sexuality and sexualities and identities. And so the first book by Patrick Grant is coming out, and it's about homonormativity and homophobia. And then Naomi Hall Byers, her book is coming out shortly. And then and that's around college student sexual decision making. And then Leah Hollis also has a book coming out. She just turned in the files this morning. She's got a book coming out. And then over the next year, I'll have, hopefully, if everything goes right, I'll have 2 books coming out. So, but those ideas usually come up in spaces that are just like the space on the screen, the picture on the screen. Yeah. I can just sit and be.
Oh, amazing. Oh my gosh. So who has influenced you? Who has been the Black historical figure that has influenced you?
Personally, that I know, it's probably my parents. So let me share about them. My father was an administrator at the University of Toledo growing up, and he inspired me to do diversity, equity, inclusion work because he was involved with student development. And in student development, he primarily worked with Black and Brown students to get through college. My mother was an administrator at a high school in Toledo, Ohio. And my mother, she is type A. My mother is my mother. And she's about her business. Yeah. So personally, it would be those two. Historically, I don't know. When you asked me that question, I thought about Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman. And I chose Harriet Truth and Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth because there were days, weeks, months, and years that I wished that somebody could save me from some of the challenges that exist in our profession. And so now that I'm in a different space in the profession, people have my phone number 24/7, 365. They got my email. It's whatever. If you in some crisis or challenge, call me. I'm coming to get you out. And we gonna go home and we gonna be in paradise. And if you're willing to go just a little bit further, you're gonna be out here in spaces like this. You and I just out there, and it's paradise.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get out of a circumstance that you're in and you just don't want to be there, call me. We're gonna have this conversation about how you can get from A to B. And before you know it, we're gonna be sitting on this beach having these emerald sunsets. And yeah, I don't want people to have to go through some of the same shit that I went through. So yeah, Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth, like, no, we're not gonna do this. We got to come up with something else for you to not go through some of the crap that I went through. Mm-hmm. And I just want to be I want to be a medium for that.
Okay. All right.
And, hold on, Ruby. I want to show one more picture. And I know this is kind of cross promotional. So then when we had some road sunsets there in St. Thomas and we're on the beach, that's it.
So is that, what do you have coming up that should be on people's radar?
Well, we gonna be in St. Thomas.
We'll
be in St. Thomas in April, the last week in April. Our conference is on the last Monday and Tuesday. And like I said,
April 25th and 26th.
April 25th and 26th. So we'll be down there. There's that. Then in, I don't know, one of them weekends in October, I'm not sure just yet. We'll be in Mexico, somebody's country or somebody's island.
I'll be there. Yes.
We're going to be there. And for the folks out there, if you've never been to our conferences, please you can feel people's excitement and happiness.
They are fun.
And when it's time to go, and I mean, as a conference organizer, I'm kind of on the other side. But what I love seeing is when people say goodbye, the hugs that they give, they're much longer than hugs that are given at other conferences. I know that this is something special. And it's a once in a lifetime event. Even though, we've been in St. Thomas for the past 7 years, it's, for some people, it is a once in a lifetime event to be around other Black and brown sexuality educators, clinicians, and therapists. And, I love every moment of it.
Yes. And you must experience it. And the knowledge and the wisdom and the intelligence is just amazing. Amazing. I learned about so many things.
Yeah.
At these conferences. Yes.
Yeah. So we learn about ourselves, like, you out there, and, if there is this open space, and usually happiness and life satisfaction is tied to freedom. You do what you want to do. So if you're doing what you want to do, you're doing what makes you happy, you're doing what's pleasurable. So it's whatever. And so you're out there on the beach, you're out there with cool people, you're out there, getting absorbed in yourself and figuring out what's next. So I'm hoping that, I guess I'll see you there. And then, for the folks who aren't able to come, they can watch us online.
Right, exactly. But you watch online, it's going to piss you off.
You're going to be sad.
Yes, I have my roommates.
That's good.
My Annabelle,
Shout out to Annabelle out there.
Yes. Okay. So where can people find you? Where can people find your work? You're a therapist, sex therapist. Where can they find you?
So I am based out of here in Philadelphia, and I maintain a private practice in Philadelphia and in New Jersey. They can go to drjameswadley.com, and you'll see my website and some of the other stuff that I do. And I'm around. I try to venture to as many conferences as I can, not necessarily always to present, but just to fellowship with people and learn new ideas and learn what's going on in the field. And so as folks, you can find me. I'm here and I'm around.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so social media handles?
Oh, PhD James W on Instagram, and PhD James W on Twitter. And then on Facebook, you just James Wadley. I think I have on a blue suit. I got a couple belts with me. And yeah, but I must warn the community out there, don't get caught up in any of my shenanigans on social media. Don't. If I'm talking trash or telling lies,
Yeah.
just don't get caught up in it, please.
Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Wadley. I greatly appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And it truly has been an honor to become your friend, become your brother. And it is truly an honor to be a part of the organization, National Council for Sexual Freedom, NCS.
National Coalition for Sexual.
I'm sorry. National
You got
Coalition.
it.
I didn't say a conference. I'm sorry, folks. Look, no shade. No shade.
You're fine. You're fine.